Alright, in this video I'm going to show you guys how to use patty paper to perform rotations. Alright, so first off what we're doing is we're starting on our coordinate plane. Here you can see I have triangle ABC, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sheet of patty paper. So the patty paper here is just kind of a small sheet of wax paper, and I'm going to sit it right on top. Alright, and I don't need to even use the entire sheet for this. I can just kind of use part of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of put a plus sign or a crosshair where my two axes intersect. That way when I rotate, I'm going to make sure they line up because I'm always going to be rotating in 90-degree intervals. Alright, so now that I have that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace my points, and my focus is going to be the vertices. So I'm going to trace point A, point B, and point C. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure I label those. That'll help me when I go to label my image points later. Alright, I'm going to pull my graph to the side. Now, this is the really important part, and this is really important where you got to use pencil. Alright, make sure you flip over to the back and trace those points on the back. Alright, that will allow us to kind of push through, so to speak. Alright, and I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a minute. So I'm going to start with a counterclockwise rotation, because that's our positive direction, because we follow the quadrants 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so I'm going to rotate 90 degrees clockwise. So that's just a quarter turn. So I'm going to make sure that my crosshairs, my plus, line up. And then I'm going to go ahead and trace my points. So here's A, B, and C. So when I do that, you'll see the faintest of points. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to kind of darken those in. Alright, and for this one I'm going to go ahead and label them A prime, B prime, C prime. Alright, and then I can use my straight edge, I can use a ruler to make those nice straight edges to make my triangle. Just like that. Alright, if I want to do 180 degrees, alright, so that's 2 quarter turns or a half turn, so I'm going to rotate it 1, 2, just like that. Same thing. I'm going to plot my points. Alright, trace over those. Again, you can see they're super faint. That's all we need, because I can always darken those in. I'm going to label these double prime, since that's our second image. And again, draw my segments. Alright, and then finally, if I go 270 degrees, so that's going to be 3 quarter turns, just like that. Alright, and I can continue to plot those points. Alright, sometimes they'll be a little bit off, but you can just kind of snap them. Looks like I ran out of graphite on the back. Alright, and put those a little bit closer to those cross where we have those actual grid lines. So A prime, it's going to be triple prime, B triple prime, C triple prime. Alright, so that's 90 degrees, 180 degrees, and this last one is 270 degrees about the origin in the counterclockwise direction. Alright, now if I rotate 360 degrees, so that means I'm doing a full turn, I should be right back where I'm started. Alright, now if I'm going to go clockwise, alright, if I rotate clockwise 90 degrees, that's going to be the same as 270 degrees. Oops, and my point B is a little bit off. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead and fix that while we're doing that. It's another reason you should use pencil in case you make mistakes, because mistakes do happen in math. So there's B triple prime. There we go. It's a lot better now. Alright, so if I continue, when I go to 180 degrees, that's the same thing, regardless of whether it was clockwise or counterclockwise. And then 270 degrees clockwise is the same as 90 degrees counterclockwise. Alright, so 90 degrees counterclockwise, 270 clockwise. 180 degrees, it could be counterclockwise or clockwise. And then lastly, we have 270 degrees counterclockwise or 90 degrees clockwise. All right, and that works for any image regardless of where it's starting. All right, so I'm going to kind of flip over to the back of this here where I have a different image. This time I have a quadrilateral PQRS, and I forgot to draw those segments in. I'll do that real quick. All right, but it doesn't matter. This time I have a point starting in each quadrant, but it doesn't really matter. So if I want to rotate this, I'm going to say negative 90 degrees. So we're going to do a rotation of negative 90 degrees. Well, what direction is negative? Well, if I think about the quadrants, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the positive direction is following that order. So negative is going to be the opposite, which is going to be clockwise. So that means I'm going to take my patty paper. So again, I'm going to start with that. And I'm going to start with my points P, Q, R, S. So if I'm going to rotate 90 degrees clockwise, so again, I'm going to kind of flip this over. Trace those points. So counterclockwise means that negative direction means I want to rotate clockwise. So I want this to go in that direction. All right, so I'm going to start with my pre-image. So I'm going to go 1/4 turn to my right. And I'm going to trace those points. All right, and again, you can kind of see where I'm a little off, so I'm going to just snap that there. So that is R prime. Point Q happens to line up with P prime, so sometimes it ends up being the same. P prime is right there, and R prime is down here. All right, and this is another thing I would recommend. Sorry, that's not R prime, that's S prime. Another thing I would recommend is colored pencils. That's really great for differentiating your pre-image and your image when you have these overlapping figures like this. And then I'm just going to go ahead and connect my points, making sure I label my prime so that way I know which one's my original, my pre-image, and which ones are my image points. All right, and that's how you can use patty paper and turning your figure to find your image, just like that.